we aim to give you an idea of the whole project goal. Providing all students with international experiences is actually one of the major goals of our Live Sciences project. And despite of an average mobility rate of 35% of Göttingen students already, there are still numerous obstacles regarding mobility and gathering international experiences, whether they are virtual or physical. And with Live Sciences, we therefore want to consider the whole student journey, as you can see in the picture. And so the student international journey, we try to overcome the hurdles, which you can see in yellowish color, and also the questions students are confronted on their ways from their home to their host universities and back, either this way are physical or virtual. So questions like, does this work online? Where do I find information? Which courses can I take? Which deadlines do I have to meet? And to whom do I need to submit these documents? Where can I get access, or can I share my story? And the students' perspectives builds actually the basis for our Live Sciences project. And we want to give answers to all these questions and facilitate the whole student journey with digital services and enrich it with transnational learning and teaching offers. But what I have basically learned within the last weeks or month already is sometimes it's not necessary to have the right answer right away, but sometimes it's really helpful to ask the right questions to the right people. And in order to somehow exercise that or change perspective, we have thought about making a little game out of thinking about student mobility. And with this, I would like to hand over to my dear colleague, Chahira. Start the game.
Thank you very much. I just forgot to mention, in case you need to have the slides a little bit bigger, you can adjust that on your own. So feel free to do that. As you see in the title, is Student Mobility in Jeopardy. It was actually also the best possibility to play Jeopardy. I never really watched that show on TV, but I found the concept very interesting. So here it is, how it goes, and you will have the chance to play with us. We are looking for the question, actually. And so we will give you a hint in the category, and you can guess in the question in the chat. And so to just be sure that the chat is working, I have a question for you. Have you played Jeopardy before? Please type that in the chat. It's the Corner Conversations. Barbara started with a no. All right. Thank you very much for that. It looks like the chat is working. So let's have a round of testing. As I said, let's try this. The first one would be the category, in this case, 1, 2, 1, 2, mic check. For 100 points, and this is also different from the game, I will give you the points and choose the category, and that only because of issues of time. Otherwise, we'll be playing here for the whole evening. The answer to which we are looking for the question is winter is coming. So this is the answer, and you would be guessing, and you can guess also already for this one, what is the question? Okay, the reference is clear, but please make sure that you formulate actually a question, and because this is a trial, it's nothing to do with our subject. What is one of the most popular Game of Thrones references would have been the question. So you can see this could have been the question. The other one would have been, what is Game of Thrones? Exactly. All right. Well, I think this is working. But let's try to get a little bit serious and forget about the winter is coming. Let's play. Is this working? And I'm sure the one or the other have asked themselves many times this question. For 100 points, it's easy, and here's the hint. A free international service for users in research, higher education, and further education. It provides researchers, teachers, and students easy and secure network access when visiting an institution other than their own. I'm pretty sure the one or the other is using this service right now to connect. I'll give you an additional hint. It's related to Wi-Fi. So we're looking for a question. I can see some of the people already writing. Please feel free, the others. I'll give you a couple more seconds to do this. And we do actually have the right question. What is Eduroam? Yes. Let's continue with another one. The hint is my house, my rules, my credentials. 200 points because it's a little bit less unknown. And here we go. It interconnects identity federations around the world, simplifying access to content, services, and resources for the global research and education community. Sounds like useful to me. We're looking for a question. Interconnects identity federations around the world, simplifying access to content. Any guesses? I know this might sound technical. Oh, I see someone asking a question. Anyone else? 3, 2, 1. Could have been, but is... There you go, Tanya. Very close. Could have been. How does EduGain function? It's about EduGain. And so a little break. I think the show has commercial breaks, but this one is actually reflecting on the hints I have shared. One of my colleagues once said in a talking about how difficult, how secure is it actually to open our systems to students coming to our universities or trying to access before coming to our system. It is in a way a cultural experience to be able to access, navigate through other learning management systems than the ones at our home universities. The question now is, what is it that we need? The reason why I talked about Eduroam is because it's one step to be able to access the networks with our own credentials. Now, the other myth around things that might hinder student mobility is because it is unsecure. It is not necessarily data safe to be able to navigate through new systems with our own credentials. On the other hand, we see the development of networks and federations like EduGain. So technically it is possible. So what I'm saying is there are things that are evolving that makes the access for sure easier, but then does that mean that we need to ignore security issues behind that? And what is it with this cultural aspect? For those who were attending the conference Moving Targets 2020, a lot of the people in the keynotes and also the speakers shared this notion of having a new perception of data, a cultural perception and aspect, and that rang a bell to me. So if we look at the infrastructure that is there, if you look at the cultural experience, we still have to think about the methods and the content. And here you can see the context in which we are evolving within the project, but also today, because of the pandemic and despite of the pandemic, is that there are more and more flexibility, more and more opportunities. But again, coming back to student mobilities, what is it that we really need to look at? And we're talking about virtual, physical mobility, and also a hybrid format of that. Now, let's go back to play again. And this is, I thought, a little bit of a provocative category. The mailman delivering the good news to the lost generation. And this one is for 300s. And I think there are people who know about a network with the aim to empower individuals to control their own student data and exchange throughout lifespan across borders for various purposes. A network with the aim to empower individuals to control their own student data and exchange throughout lifespan across borders for various purposes. For those who have attended the conference the previous days and also listened in to the one or the other session might know that. Any guesses? I think I have seen some of this. A proposal for a previous question exactly about that. Denisa, I think you're very close. 3, 2, 1, and the question is, what is MREX? So I think, René, you could have guessed that for sure. To keep it short, and because there will be experts during tomorrow's workshop day, and I'll invite you to check out the program. There will be a session at room 2 at 2 p.m. exactly about this. This is the small commercial break. MREX and standardized digital processes and tools. We talked about the student journey, the student international journey, and the student being at the center. And when you think about it, it wasn't always like that. Yes, we do teaching and learning. We care about our students, but what if they could also be more involved and they could be empowered to have the control of their own data? What MREX enables, and also other standards, is to have the possibility, if I am a student at my university and I'm going abroad, when I come back within a few clicks to be able to move the data, but not only in that context, many more beyond that, which means that for student mobility to happen, it is not only and always linked with paperwork and a lot of time. That also means that we need to work on the digital processes. And this is something we would like to do in our project as well. The next hint, who dares? Hint, hint, it is actually something completely the opposite. Who dares, but it rhymes with who dares. 400 points, because I think it's a little bit difficult. The question we are looking for answers: groups of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. It's the concept that is not new in itself, but has been proven to be very effective. Groups of people who share a concern or a passion. We're looking for a question. We're looking for a question. Yeah, I see. Tanya, René, anyone else would like to try? 3, 2, 1, and that was exactly the correct answer. What are communities of practice? What is a community of practice? Now, as I said, it is nothing new, but the reason why to be able to support mobility and to be more precise, the international student journey is that we have asked actually students, and one of the things that they are requested or thought that would be very helpful, could have helped them, was having a community of peers, a safe space where they could experiment new skills they learn, and also a space they go to talk to their peers. In the beginning, I said, who dares? The question that is very obvious is like, who cares about a community? Why would students who are done with their exchange semester still care? Well, you'd be surprised. If there is interest, if there is something they could share meaningfully, they expressed the interest to carry on. And we know, again, nothing new, that the alumni networks in our universities, and particularly at the University of Göttingen, is a network that has been powerful and going on. So integrating a community that is of use, where the students can also experiment their role as being partners within this whole journey, is something that could definitely empower the student mobility. Now, the last one, too good to be true, and 500 points. And surprise, it's not a text. So I invite you, for those who need a bigger picture, to take a second to do that. As you can see, this is maybe a little bit elaborated picture than the one you saw in the beginning, but I'd like to draw your attention that moving from questions that we had in the beginning, we now see exclamation points, but also aha moments. Students going through this journey have realized it is possible to do things online. Students are pleased to meet people. What this is not saying is it physical? Is it virtual? What we aim to do in this project is definitely to combine both. And now in times where the physical has been very challenging, let's put it like that, this didn't stop us, or this didn't lead us to change all the concepts or the foundations of this project, but gave us, let's say, a push to think about how can we promote a journey that could be also virtual and empower the students here. How can we support that? So what do you think would be a question this picture could answer? We started from a simple student international journey. What you see in the middle is a set of measures that can support the digital process, the digital enhancement of so many things. What do you think the question could be for which we have this answer? There is no wrong, actually, question. So would you like to try one? I know this one is a little bit complicated. 3, 2, 1, and the question is, what is an enhanced student international journey? We really would like to have a journey where it is enhanced not only by means of introducing innovative methods, trying to experiment, but also trying to facilitate, as Anna mentioned in the beginning, the whole process. Before I open the floor to some of the questions, and I would love to hear from you, I would like to, besides of using the Jeopardy term within the game, point to some of the things that I mentioned. Just because it looks, nice on the picture doesn't mean that it's easy. We heard a lot even today, and we're hearing through the experience that many higher education institutions gained in the last 6 months, that there is something that is very important to raise awareness about issues like legal frameworks, innovation, and experiment more. This sounds to me more like a challenge than an opportunity. So what we're trying to do in the Live Sciences project is to really be aware of these problems like security, like data, but also the legal frameworks. And the question is, we have seen things changing from today, within 24 hours. But the one thing that we would like to push with this project is the sustainability, not only as a topic, when it comes to sustainable land use, but really within how can we build infrastructure, how can we build methods, how can we build safe spaces where our students can really and fully enjoy their role as being partners of this journey and be able to enjoy the enhanced student international journey. With this, I'd like to thank you all for your attention, but most of all, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can also request, and our dear Barbara will help us with that. If you would like to take the microphone, please use the request option. You can also feel free to write in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Anna and I love to answer your questions. Thank you, Denisa.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here with us. Maybe once again, if you want to get deeper insights on how to work on implementing standardized digital processes, we'll be back tomorrow for a workshop at 1 p.m. And the workshop is about future scenarios for international student mobility on digital platforms. So I'm really happy to see some of you back tomorrow.
I'm checking in the chat if there are more questions, and hopefully also please feel free to request the mic to ask the question. We still have some time to do that.
Oh, there's one question in the chat.
Yes.
From Bettina.
Yeah, is there any experience in student mobility and digital platform in art academies? I am pretty sure that the art academies are going through this. I don't have the answer to that. I know, though, that we have been recently approached, and this has nothing to do with mobility, but also rather with digital platforms, and specifically on the topic of live performances. For example, if you take theater playing or anything that involves like audio of top quality and without any delays, there are platforms, for examples, that like the one in Germany that is being developed. Digital stage, it is called. So there are some initiatives in there, but I am not sure how they are linked into student mobility.
I have a question.
Please, Barbara.
So for me, it seems that the University Göttingen is, especially if you look at the technical standards you have implemented with all these different programs, I don't really know, so that's not my focus, international exchange in the HFD. Is there any recommendation for smaller universities? With only about 5,000 students, you don't have these big programs, how they can, take part and, also, enable their students with those programs. Do you have any recommendations?
Anna, would you like to take that one? I can answer when it comes to platforms. Maybe I'll start off with that. The idea behind, so just to make clear, we are, as I said, most of these standards are open, and my colleagues will, for example, explain this better in the digital platform tomorrow in their session. But the idea of collaboration, even for a smaller institution, is not new. And we know that, for example, from the research, side. And so very often it starts with thinking about opening up a session. although I talked about platform, it doesn't have to be platform dependent. Think about, and this is something we did in the internationalization of the curricula with the concept of internationalization at home at the university, is inviting new perspective from outside, and that can be a very fundamental part into opening up for a new type of mobility, virtual mobility, and that doesn't require much. We know a lot more about video conferencing now than we used to do 6 months before. But we also know what kind of, we have partnerships even for smaller institutions, so we can go these smaller steps. The aim of our project is to build upon also smaller initiatives and bring them together so they can grow and feed in within the network. But you can start small, that's possible.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question, because if I take a look into the efforts we are taking in like standardizing all these processes, it takes a lot of efforts, and I can imagine that for smaller institutions it's quite challenging. But yeah, what I can also see is to network and to be part of networks doesn't. It's still possible, and many things are developed open source, and you can get in touch with people initiating and new things and be part of the development and networks. So, but yeah, I guess it's much more challenging for smaller institutions where to focus on and which where to put the resources, of course.
So we have one last, a few last seconds and one question in chat.
I'll take the one by René. Yes, René, we have been informed officially today that we were going to do the hybrid mobility scenarios, not only as part of this project. We will have to learn a lot. I mean, if you go onto the website Live Sciences at the University of Göttingen and look for Live Sciences 3, you will definitely find news about that. We would like to assemble more best practices, but keep checking. We'll keep you updated. I think we're out of time, right?
Yes, thank you really much.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Game and information was super funny. Thanks.
Thank you for having us.